there is going to be a point here where the market just enters an absolute frenzy, where we break out, where assets, altcoins are going on insane runs to and past all-time highs. It's going to be the fun, exciting things we've been waiting for. And it's all been a question of, what is going to trigger this? What is going to cause this move to take place? And right now, it looks like we are accelerating towards this with a full head of steam. In fact, we're on the verge of setting records once again. We're watching a couple things very closely here. In fact, there has been something that changed just over the last 24 hours, indicating this might be a lot closer than people realize. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. Hit that subscribe button, that bell. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. So first, I want to look at the total market cap of crypto because we're doing some exciting things there. We are broken out. We obviously set a new all-time high of, 3.95 trillion or so, 3.94 trillion, just about a week ago. Very exciting stuff. And right now we still sit at 3.85 trillion, kind of prepping for this next leg. But of course, because BTC is not really doing anything, we're not making much in terms of extensions there. Altcoins have been kind of quiet. We're kind of putzing around, not really doing a whole lot. And what we're really waiting for here is the rest of the market to catch up. When we look at the total two, all assets outside of BTC, we still have not set a new all-time high in this market cycle. So that all-time high was all the way back in late 2021. And right now we've been doing a good job. We're extended out. We're trying to make this extension here, right? We talked about this obviously the other day in terms of the total three, which we did set a new all-time high barely back in December, but we're still a little ways down from there. We're about, again, 10, 11% away or so from making that breakout and extending to new all-time highs, which now it becomes a question of, what is going to cause this to take place? How do we get this oomph? I've seen a lot of people that have questions, are we going to fall back? Do we just kind of putz around for a while? And I think it's a lot simpler than what people are expecting. It really comes back to one thing, and that is Ethereum. Now, I'm sure people probably could have pieced that together, and Ethereum has been kind of the big lagger in this market cycle, and it might be a reason why we haven't had our traditional alt season, why we haven't had this huge rotation yet in terms of capital. And obviously we talked about rotation yesterday, but there's something else specifically I want to talk about here in terms of Ethereum. So we've obviously been fighting this resistance at about 4,100 throughout this market cycle, obviously early 2024, late 2024. And now we're on this path towards trying to retest this 4,100 level again. And this might be actually happening a lot sooner than people realize. And right now, how this differs from the prior two times is we are truly accelerating towards this with a full head of steam, running at this full speed. And right now, it's very likely that we do in fact break through this. Now, this isn't to guarantee your financial advice or anything like that, but really the upside for Ethereum here is where things can truly get exciting. Now, why I have these two boxes here is these are indicating when we've had some insane accumulation taking place from institutional players in the space. That's where there's been a very big difference. So when we look at this institutional chart, specifically, goes all the way back to January of 2025. We can see two very distinct periods here where things have started to shift just a little bit. We had that period in May where we actually set our new record for straight days of institutional money accumulating Ethereum. It was 19 straight days, very exciting stuff. And we are now currently at 16 straight days of institutional accumulation in terms of ETH. So we're on the verge of actually setting a new record there. But how this differs in this section alone is the quantity. In fact, our largest day here almost envelops all 19 straight days of ETH accumulation in that one single day. And it's becoming larger. It's happening faster. Okay. And the question is now is, are these institutional players accumulating in this box and very heavily in this box just to sell right here? And the answer is probably not. Right? we tend to not see those big shifts happen. But what I will say too is while this is happening, what we're also seeing is actually big Ethereum removal of supply from exchanges. ETH supply is dwindling in a big way. Over the counter balances are just depleting at an accelerated rate. I mean, this is exactly the type of steam that we need to actually break through this resistance at 4,100 in terms of ETH. Now, obviously, I'm talking very heavily about ETH in this video, and it's because I believe ETH is going to be the trigger for everything else. And why this is interesting is ETH did the same thing last market cycle, kind of. All right. ETH was actually fighting this longer term trend, didn't really have an opportunity to test it much until it finally had that last attempt and breach where it went on this insane rally to the upside, right? ETH is doing that same thing in this market cycle, but what we've hit is kind of this plateau, right, where we can't break past it. But what that has actually done is actually given us some even further upside growth for Ethereum. In fact, right now, this next breach and rally, if ETH runs kind of straight up and to the right, it's targeting a $12,000 ETH, which is actually kind of in the range that we've been talking about for this market cycle alone. So could we in fact be on the verge of this just insane push and load up like we saw here, where ETH just breaks out and goes to the, I don't want to say the moon, right? But the moon, all right? That's what it's sure looking like in the crypto market. Now, what I will say here too is there has been something that we've been talking about a lot lately that has shifted, showing us that it's probably going to happen. When we look at open interest in the crypto market, we've talked very heavily about this huge presence of short interest and about how every single asset in the crypto market is getting shorted in a big way. And most of them actually have an imbalance to the short side when it comes to leverage. ETH right now doesn't. This actually changed over the last 24 hours. So yes, there has been some longs open, but shorts are getting a little bit concerned. In fact, when we look at just over the last 24 hours, $28 million worth of shorts wrecked versus 13 million in longs. Same thing over the 12 hours, 4 hours. So right now, ETH is actually picking up steam. And what we're likely to see, again, not saying it's going to happen for sure, but what we're likely to see is actually a breakout here for Ethereum. And why that's such a big deal is that's going to move the total likely to a breakout, which currently, guys, we're only about, gosh, what is this? About 9% away from that taking place. In terms of Ethereum, how far, I should have measured this. How far are we away from a breakout here? About 7%. Makes a lot of sense, right? So that is actually when the market is likely going to kick into full gear, like when we're going to see even bigger excitement. That's likely when we're going to see retail optics even higher than they are now, when we're going to see exchange app downloads re-enter the top 200, right? There's a certain process we have to go through. And what this is showing us is that this alt season process hasn't changed, right? We have to go through phase 1, which is BTC season, phase 2, which is ETH season, where it's outpacing BTC, which it has been since back in April, right? Then you start to see your large caps run. Then you see your small caps run, right? That's what we're working our way into right now. And this breach of 4,100, confirmed breach, not a wick and the wick up and wick down, right? This is likely what is going to trigger this big, massive boom in the crypto market, all right? This could happen this week, in August, right? We've talked about obviously July and August being 2 big months for crypto, and we're looking like that so far. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I appreciate you as always. These are the things that we have to watch for. 4,100 is the number. So appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.